Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back for another episode of the Piledriver. Tonight we are joined by a very special guest, Phil Stamper. Welcome to the Piledriver. How are you, sir?
I'm well. How are all of you doing?
Good. It's a pleasure to have you on.
Fantastic.
The president of wrestling.
There you go.
I love it.
President of wrestling. Yes.
The president. Like I want to
The
make
president.
the president, Matt Cardona, whatever he's doing. The president.
The president.
How do you feel about Cardona? What he's doing on Indies?
Yeah, it's trademarked. I mean, I like Cardona and everything he's doing. Like, I think it's exciting. It brings more attention to pro wrestling. Like, wrestling on the independents. Like, awesome. Go for it. And
Absolutely.
I wore the Indiana Jones hat better than he does. So
I did see that. I
agree.
see that.
I will have to agree with that, Matt. You can take it up with me if I ever see it, but I can agree with that.
I am Indy Phil. So
Indy Phil.
I want to know where this came from. Where did the president of wrestling come from?
I mean, it came from sort of a mix of places. I don't remember how many years ago now. 7 years ago, I was transitioning to doing a lot more mouthpiece roles, and really realistically behind the scenes, I was doing a lot for a lot of different companies. And I was sort of at the end of my in-ring career. I knew something was wrong. I didn't know for a couple more years yet that I had nerve damage from stuff going on in my neck. And so I was like, well, if I'm modifying my gimmick to be a little bit more about who I am and what am I doing? If I'm really running stuff, I'm the president of wrestling. And I never wanted it to be like a political thing. I never wanted to be like, oh, I'm a pastiche of whoever's in office right now. This is just me being in charge. So it really sort of ran and picked up and gained steam, and then it's continued on. And now I'm like the GM of 3 companies, the president of a company, and Revolver's EVP. So
I mean, when we were doing some research on you, obviously, I saw that you worked for over 70 different promotions in your time with this business.
I'm over 90 now.
Over 99.
Jeez, that's ridiculous. Kudos to you. I mean, kudos to you. What founded your love of this business? Obviously, you love this business. You've been doing it for a long time.
I mean, I was a fan, of course, like a lot of people are when they're a kid, and knew really early on that there was such a thing as training. And so I made the decision, though, when I was graduating high school. Of course, I have to sneeze right now. There you go. Get out of the system. I made that decision when I was graduating high school of like, all right, I know I have to, whatever comes next, I have to pay for, whether that's college or wrestling. Why don't I have something to fall back on? Should, hey, I get injured. And so I paid for college. I'm so sorry.
No, you're totally fine. You're totally fine.
Jeez.
Bless you. God bless you.
Bless you.
And so I started to work behind the scenes for companies. And then a couple years later, got trained. And so was competitive in the ring for a long time. But at the same time, I was still doing stuff behind the scenes for a lot of people, especially in like the marketing realm.
Okay. Now you're from PA, am I correct?
No, see, that's another trick that everybody's like, wherever I go, people think I'm from that place. So I'm from Maryland.
Okay.
I was born in Philly, but raised in Maryland, back in Maryland now. And I have floated all throughout. So like I've lived in Maryland, PA, and West Virginia and Virginia. But I've like you've seen, I've worked companies in 6 different
All
countries.
over the place.
So, right.
Everywhere.
Wrestling Revolver right now is doing amazing. I can't wait for Cage of Horrors this week. The Saturday, July 1st. It's going to be insane. It's going to be on Fight TV Plus. It's going to be absolutely crazy. We got the unit will be in action. We got JC Dunn and Allie Cash taking on Masha and Jessica. That's going to be a wild one.
It's going to be like, don't get me wrong, it's going to be wild. Let's not forget the fact that the unit have beat Jessica. 6 times now to 1?
Yeah.
Where she beat 1 time out of all those times. And like, okay, Masha, I get it. Masha was nothing but collateral damage. Unit was going after Sammy. Masha just happened to be there. Okay, great. Masha's upset. Masha's all in a rage. Well, that's just it. Masha's a dangerous competitor.
Absolutely.
But as a rage monster, you're not thinking clearly. And so now you have Allie Katch and JT Dunn, who aren't really that interested in what's happening with Masha. But now they have more of a point to prove to Jessica. Because let's face it, we've taken out Jessica multiple times. This last event in Dayton, we stopped Jessica from winning the golden ticket gauntlet. We then JT finally had his opportunity to take on Sam McCallahan. Okay, it wasn't what we intended. It was a last minute decision, but you know what? He got it out of his system.
Yeah.
That was gone. We beat Jessica. We weren't even in the match, and we beat Jessica one more time. Okay, it was over. And now Sammy wants to continue it still by avoiding the moment himself. And now it's Masha and Jessica against JT Dunn and Allie Katch. And so fine. Okay, we'll beat them again because we already beat Masha and we weren't even in a match with her.
At this point, it's like, what are they going to get?
It seems like you're just kind of like this with it at this point. You don't even. It's just like cake work.
We got this. Now, don't get me wrong. Like these are dangerous competitors. I mean, granted, the soul of Jessica Havoc is stuck somewhere in a dark realm somewhere, and now we're left with sick. But we got this. We totally got this. We are a unit. We are a well-oiled machine. We know how to get things done. We got this. We got this. It's gonna be a fight. Don't get me wrong. It's gonna be a battle.
I trust the unit.
Thank you.
I think the unit's gonna be good. You guys have a lot of people in the unit. There's a strong group. There's some big names in there.
And you never know who else is taking the pledge. That's the thing that people keep forgetting.
We'll take
the unit's still just open for business. Anybody can take the pledge, right? if they're worthy, right?
Exactly.
So we also see your Dejima MCW. That's located down in Maryland, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And also IWA East Coast.
Mm-hmm.
That's gonna be a good one. I'm not familiar with HTW.
HTW is a smaller company called High Tension Wrestling. It was formed out of Camp Leapfrog that came together during the pandemic era, had outdoor events on IWTV. Things happened and we moved away from Camp Leapfrog, and out of that came High Tension. In many ways, it's sort of like this interesting spiritual successor to Chikara, or what Chikara was.
Okay.
And we're moving on to their sort of capstone event that it's going to take place in August 12th with a Midsummer Nightmare.
I like the name of that.
That sounds sweet.
And even that's going to be brutal. I don't want to get ahead of myself because I'm like, what have we announced? There's a lot of things that are going to happen that are just going to be absolutely brutal. Lots of barbed wire. Lots of barbed wire.
Is there a way for people to watch it that aren't in the area?
I'm sorry?
Is there a way for someone to watch it that's not in the area? Like,
they do have an active YouTube channel. That's where they put all of their content right now. They moved off of IWTV and now just put things straight on YouTube.
Awesome. So check them out. If you guys are listening, please go check them out as well. You said barbed wire, you have my interest.
There you go.
Yeah. And Wrestling Revolver will be on Fight TV, correct?
Yes. Fight TV Plus, both this weekend and on July 8th when we go to Grand Prairie, Texas. I keep saying Dallas. It's right outside of Dallas, but out in Grand Prairie, out in Texas for our return to Texas, because we were there WrestleMania weekend.
I saw that. Texas toasted.
Yeah.
How is Texas as far as like a wrestling community?
And it's going to be Allie versus Sammy Callahan at Texas Toasted. Like, I don't know how I feel about this. Like, it's a great opportunity for Allie to just beat and pummel Sammy, but Sammy's always up to something. Like, I don't trust it.
Allie's from Texas. Am I correct?
She is.
Okay, so that's even a little more special for her,
right?
Right in her own backyard, kind of come in and beat the big dog.
That'd be a huge win for her. I don't doubt her for one bit.
Absolutely. I mean, she's the queen of Revolver for a reason.
I've been following Allie for a long time. I'm so happy for her. I've watched her blossom from the beginning. She's unbelievable. Unbelievable talent. People need to wake up.
Well, as I'm looking, I don't know if Dean has seen this yet, but I just saw this on the Facebook page at Texas Toasted. You get Wrestling Revolver, the debut of one of Dean's favorites, Abaddon. Will be making her Wrestling Revolver. Dean loves Abaddon since the beginning. The first time we ever saw her, Dean was like, "Oh my God, she's great. She's great."
The character and everything. I love Abaddon,
and
she's creepy.
I'm hearing whispers of what might happen, and people might be a little bit in shock and awe of what might transpire.
Yeah,
Uh-oh. Abaddon's creepy, dude. She's up to some creepy stuff. Anything could happen with her.
I would like to see Abaddon. What if Abaddon wanted to take the pledge? That'd be, woo, that'd be wild.
And if rumors are true, I'm just saying.
That would, oh, that
That
would
would be wild.
See, we're trying to make it down to day when you guys go up for Heat 'em Up. That's gonna be good.
Because that's right. I mean, it's not in our backyard, but it's close enough. It's closer. It's in the local Ohio.
Yeah, we're up here in Cleveland.
I gotcha. It is a Thursday night. It's on August 3rd. The people are like, why Thursday? And it's just coincidental. We were gonna be August the 5th. We had booked the venue for August 5th, and then it was like, oh, it's SummerSlam in Detroit on August 5th. Okay, we'll do it on Friday. Oh, SmackDown's in Dayton. Okay, Thursday night.
In Dayton that night.
SmackDown's in Dayton that night.
Oh, okay.
You make it a wrestling weekend. You start your Thursday night Revolver. You go Friday to SmackDown. You go
SmackDown.
Drive up
Detroit.
to Detroit. Right? See,
I mean,
I'm so used to them doing like SmackDown and Raw in the same city as the bigger shows.
Right.
I didn't realize they switched it up. I guess that's kind of cool though.
I was just say, because when we went, me and a couple of my friends went to Survivor Series last year or a couple years ago in Chicago when it was in Chicago, and everything was in the same building. So like, it's weird that SmackDown's in Dayton, and then they just keep on moving up the way.
Yeah. They make them loops.
Yeah. No, definitely 110%.
So I want to go back a little bit. What actually got you into wrestling? How were you introduced to wrestling at all? Like, were you young as a child?
I mean, I was. Weirdly enough, because I'm the oldest of three brothers, and so I've always been. I was 40 before I was 14, as my parents would always tell me, and still tell me. And so, like, I remember watching it, and I was like, "This is too violent for my younger brothers." And then later, I got into it. I can't remember if it was just like I just sat down and watched it one day, and I was hooked. And I had a neighbor that moved in like just about that same time, and then he was into it, and so it was like, "Oh, great!" Got more people into it.
Come on over.
And I was that kid I was that kid that was like, let me write to the WWE and WCW at the time. Why can't kids wrestle? We should wrestle.
Right.
And I got letters back from WCW.
Did you really?
I got two of them. I can't remember what the first part said, but the second part was like, and to buy our book on how to become a pro wrestler. And we'll tell you all about training. You typically have to be 18 years old to go train. And so that's how I found out about training. Yeah.
To get a response, that's awesome.
And buy our book.
And buy our book. Definitely get that plug.
I almost wish I had bought that book, but I didn't buy the book.
Dude, there's so much WCW stuff I think about now that I'm like, man, I wish I still had that. Like just the nostalgia factor for it.
Yeah. I got that Diamond Dallas Page Wrestle Buddy still.
There you go.
Yeah,
that's cool. Old DDP. Who was some of your favorites growing up? When you first got in it?
So at that time, like ESPN Classic had old World Class, like in the 80s. I was a huge Eric Embry fan.
Okay.
Because I don't know, like he was the first person like I saw what he was doing. I could figure it out. And so I grew up like I was a Brutus the Barber Beefcake fan. I was a Hulk Hogan fan. That was the day. Like that was who you were.
Yeah.
I
have an Ultimate Warrior tattoo on my arm. Like,
there you go.
Like I get it. Hacksaw Jim Duggan. Love that guy. I used to grab stuff and just walk around. Oh,
Repo Man.
Oh,
like,
yes.
The Repo Man. Wow.
Bringing it back there, man. Those are the years. I'm an Attitude Era kid. That's where I got into it. It was Stone Cold Steve Austin. I mean, I grew up in Memphis, so I watched Saturday morning wrestling with like Jerry the King Lawler and Brian Christopher and stuff like that when they were young. And then when I moved up to Ohio, it kind of that didn't have local wrestling. I mean, there probably was, but it wasn't on Saturday morning news. Like it was in Memphis, Tennessee. And it's just, I don't know. I've always loved the Attitude Era. It's always been my favorite era. That's just, DX, Stone Cold, NWO, that era of wrestling will always be king for me.
That's fair. That's very fair.
ECW is big for me.
I didn't get ECW where I was at
that
time. I didn't get it for 1 week. Our cable channel picked up a new channel, and they, like all the channels in the area were like flipping affiliations. It was really weird. Like stations that have been NBC, were now CBS, all that kind of stuff. And I can't remember what they were called, but this one station showed ECW, and then because of the affiliation of the different networks, they flipped to a different company, and so we didn't have ECW anymore, and so I didn't see them again. I had friends who would get the pay-per-views, and then I didn't see them again on television until I think they were on Spike TV.
Yeah.
Oh,
See,
yeah.
now that I think about it, that was kind of similar to me. I remember I found a local channel called The Cat, and they would play ECW around like 10 o'clock at night, and I would stay up and just watch it.
Please tell me there was like a generic roar sound. Like,
there was.
Yes.
It was more like a panther. It was more like a panther. It was great. I just remember staying up and watching it, and then it disappeared. The whole channel disappeared, and I didn't see it again until like the pay-per-views. I had friends that we would go have some pay-per-views and whatnot, and then the whole that getting bought out by WWE's when I started seeing them more again. But when the younger times, when early ECW, man, that was my stuff. That was a good memory there.
Oh, excuse me.
Yeah, bless you.
Right, what's going on with us? Like, yeah, we're
dude. I don't know. I don't know.
There's a great pollen.
I had a question. My buddy Paulie asked me a question. Go ahead, Dean. I had something for him. Paul wanted me to ask Phil.
So towards the end of this, though, toward every episode, we do a top 5 draft.
Okay.
And we kind of like take turns. We'd pick like first round. You'd start off. We'd pick a random category. Like it could be like 90s cartoon characters or anything off the wall.
Okay.
But I was wondering if you would like to partake in ours today, and it'd be top 5 submissions.
Oh, yes. Yes.
I know you're type of a submission guy. So we've been talking about wanting to do this for a while too. So it's like no perfect time because we never do the same category more than once. We always try to switch it up.
Let's do it.
Do you find that question for him?
So Paulie just basically wanted to know. We spoke a little bit about Matt Cardona. Matt Cardona said that he showed up on the big screen at the last event and said he's coming for the Wrestling Revolver Championship.
Yeah.
Cardona's been collecting belts. Paulie wants to know how you feel about Matt Cardona, like potentially coming on a title hunt to a company that you're basically running.
So, I mean, great. It'll bring attention. People know Matt Cardona. I like Matt Cardona. I've always liked Matt Cardona. Stepping on things with the president of independent wrestling, and like, let's be clear.
Yeah.
But it's going to bring a lot of attention. Let's go. And you know what? Him and Jake Christ, if Jake is still the champion by then, that will be a banger. If that's what ends up happening, if he's going to take on Jake Christ.
I'm so happy for Jake.
I've been familiar. I'd seen him a couple times, but we just saw him recently up here at a promotion called Circle 6.
Mm-hmm.
And he put on a fantastic match, like great match. And then I saw that he won the title, and that's awesome for him.
Yeah, I was
super stoked for him. Yeah,
dude's wildly talented, and he deserves that. So, yeah, I can see if Matt wants to go try and take that title from Chris. Good luck. I guarantee it's gonna be a banger, though.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And who's he running around with?
That's all really Paul had.
Do what?
Well, who's he running around with now? Steph DeLander?
Yeah, Steph DeLander.
Well, I guess we'll have to watch and see if he shows up. So let's get started with this top 5 draft. Okay. I'll give you the honors, good sir.
I was gonna say you're gonna let Phil go first, right?
You have to.
Okay.
Top 5 of all time. And we do a runner honorable.
No, let me clarify first. If let's say Dean picks the sharpshooter, does that mean that I'm not allowed to pick the Scorpion Deathlock because it's the same move?
Good call.
Maybe
not if it's exactly the same.
Okay.
Right.
If it's like this plus a tweak of this.
Yeah.
Like,
kind of like DDP's Diamond Cutter, then the RKO.
Like an RKO. Same thing.
It's a cutter, but it's like a different variation of it.
Right.
Okay. Fair.
People call it 2 different things. It's either a surfboard or a Mexican ceiling torture. But dropped into the Bryan Danielson Dragon Sleeper.
I've never seen that.
Oh,
kudos kudos for the name drop. Because I was super freaking stoked last night when he made Okada tap out. That was awesome.
I heard it was awesome. I've never seen that move.
That's the only match in the pay-per-view I missed. So I don't even know. I know it was a submission finish, but I don't know what the finish was.
I missed the whole
can't
thing.
even explain it. Like, he looked like he had him in like a Rings of Saturn type of deal, and then he twisted his leg. Brian broke his arm 10 minutes into the match, I read. So,
I did see something about that. Yeah.
It's like a fracture.
Yeah, it wasn't a label lock. It wasn't nothing. I've seen him, like, he had a kind of Rings of Saturn and kind of tucked his arm underneath his leg and used it for leverage. And Okada tapped out.
I haven't seen any clips of it or anything. I just know what happened. I didn't get to see any of it. I didn't get to see any of the pay-per-view, unfortunately, last night. But it sounds like it was a damn good match. But I'm interested in that move. I need to figure out where I can see that move because that sounds amazing.
Oh, the Mexican surfboard lock or whatever to the Dragon Sleeper.
Yeah.
Just look up old Bryan Danielson stuff.
Right.
Okay.
You'll find it. Old ROH stuff for sure.
Oh yeah.
Like, I always like it when it's hung there, like the guy's upside down. Later, Bryan Danielson would like drop their legs down so it would be in front of him. But I used to just love it when it was suspended. First one I found, Romero special transition to do Dragon Sleeper. They probably won't play it at the same time I'm streaming. I'm
gonna look that up.
All right, Dean, you're going or am I going? You want me to go?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. All right, I'm gonna go with CM Punk's one of my favorite wrestlers, Phil. So I'm gonna take his submission. The Anaconda Vice is a good one.
Yeah, I'm still the better Phil in wrestling. And he doesn't do the Anaconda Vice right. Sorry, done.
He doesn't?
You have the Anaconda Vice, like you see, like he has that key lock, you have the arm. You put the other arm that doesn't all right, so you have the one arm that's holding the key lock in place.
Yeah.
So if this person's head's over here, you have this arm behind their neck holding that arm down. You slide this arm through the key lock and onto your own bicep, and it becomes a choke.
Okay.
That's an Anaconda Vice.
He doesn't do
Gotcha.
it.
Right.
Okay.
Well, that's even better. That's even better.
I get it. It's very replicatable. Kids, don't do that at home unless you're trained.
Please don't.
Right.
That's interesting. I never paid attention to that.
What you got?
I'm gonna have to. I'm gonna keep
dog?
it simple, man. The old ankle lock, whether it's Ken Shamrock's or Kurt Angle's, man, it's just those things just look brutal. It's simple, but it's painful.
Mm-hmm.
I know it's pretty generic.
That's one I used to put. That's one I used to put my little nephews and nieces in and stuff back in the day. Little ankle locks.
So that are sharpshooters. All right, back to you.
I'm not going to tell you what my other one that I did. So we're going to keep that for the list.
Okay.
I always love a good cross-face chicken wing, but you have to hook the hand. You get that across their face, you just have to bring it back and turn their face against their shoulder. It can be amazingly painful and fun.
That's an old school one that's really good though. All right. My favorite one to put on my nieces and nephews, Dean Malenko's Texas Cloverleaf.
That's a good pull.
I loved it when Sheamus did it too. The Cloverleaf's always been a fun one for me.
The camel clutch. That's probably gonna be mine. One of my second round ones gonna be a camel clutch. And for the Iron Sheik.
There you go.
Do it for him.
Yeah. Rest in peace, Sheiky.
I'm gonna miss his tweets. I do his wild on Twitter.
I am gonna go with. I used to do a variation of an STF. So
Okay.
I want you to. I wish I had a good video of it. You start like almost like a Boston crab when you turn them over. You lace one leg, so one leg is trapped. So you do the STF, they're trapped. So you go up to grab for their head, but you instead of grabbing the head, you lock it like a Rings of Saturn.
Ooh.
So then they're just tied. Like, they can't go anywhere.
Yeah.
You used to do that?
I used to do that all the time.
I bet you that was.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I may have held the Boston Crab and trash talked to a lot of people, and then okay.
Okay.
Is it my turn?
Yes, it is.
I'm gonna have to go with something you guys already mentioned. It's gonna be probably the Rings of Saturn.
That's a good one.
It is.
That's a good one. I don't
It was
know.
a third round.
I always liked Perry Saturn, but I always feel like they always gave him a raw deal. Like they always made him like he was just too dumb to do like he could have done anything. Like he was
They
just
had him
stupid.
carrying around a mop, right? For the longest time.
Yeah.
I would. Yeah,
in
that
the
was-
dress. In the dress.
I forgot about the dress.
Yeah.
Third round. It's on you, Phil.
Octopus.
Ooh,
That's a good one.
you're throwing out names
feel
I
like-
haven't heard in
See,
forever.
I feel like mine's kind of the same. I had this one in the hole, but mine's kind of the same, but in a different vein. AJ Lee's Black Widow.
Mm.
Just the the head scissors into it, and their whole setup was beautiful in my opinion by her
Yeah.
all the time. That was a good one. I miss AJ Lee.
How about you, Mike? What's your next one?
What?
What's your
I
next
just said the Black Widow.
one? Oh, I thought you were comparing his. All right. My bad, dude.
Get it together.
I've always been a big fan of the Kimura lock.
Okay.
That's a brutal move. I'm gonna
I
go
mean,
with the Kimura
that's
lock.
legit. That's a
Yeah.
legit UFC
Rock.
break your arm move.
Right.
Rock has a brutal Kimura lock.
What you got?
Can a choke be considered a submission under your rules?
Yes.
Tasmission.
Yes.
And take the Tasmission and bridge off of it.
Yes.
Kaz was a bad man.
Yeah.
He was a bad
We
man.
talked about that before. We did a top 5 ECW list, and Taz was up top, like close to the top of mine. And I always loved Taz. He was the human suplex machine. I used to Taz mission my little nephew all the time.
Yeah,
There you
That's
go.
a good one.
Kaz was a bad
That's
dude.
a good one.
Just come out with that towel. That dude was intimidating.
All right. Number 4. I'm gonna go. This one might be controversial. We try to keep wrestling and separate stuff out of it. It doesn't mesh here. So wrestling wise, the crippler crossface is one of the most dominating submission moves ever. So number 4, I'm taking the Rabid Wolverines crippler crossface.
That was
Fair.
yeah. I'm gonna have to go with the label lock for me. That's a Daniel Bryan does it so good. And it looks painful as hell.
Mhm.
Have you ever done a label lock?
They're
Have
fun.
Yeah.
I feel like I was doing them like before I knew what a label was.
Really?
Like, oh, I'm in this
Like,
weird position. Let me just.
Crack out your face a little bit. That's round 4. So this is the 5th round. You get an honorable
This is
mention
it.
as well.
yeah, you're gonna get an honorable mention if you want that didn't make your list, but it was this close.
I'm like, there's like 3 in my brain that I'm like, what is better than the other? Ooh, are we just talking pro wrestling submissions, or like can it be like MMA too?
It could be MMA, sure.
Yeah, we're doing
It's a
it.
submission. We said top 5 submission moves.
Yeah.
Do you know what a banana split is?
I do not, but I'm
I do.
intrigued.
It is you
Amazing.
basically force the person to do a leg split. Like you hook one leg in on one of their legs, you go over their back, you grab their other leg, and you wrench back as hard as you can. I used to do that in the ring. I would do I used to do a seated abdominal stretch. So I'd hold them there for a bit, just work them over as tight as you can, and then grab that leg that's free right in front of me that they don't know what to do with and pull it back for a pin.
Oh my.
Wow. That seems wow.
There was this old, I don't know why this is in my brain. I got like this old Luthez tape of like from him in like the 40s. And he's doing this match in Japan, and he locks in that move. Now that move in amateur wrestling is a pin, like you would roll them back on their shoulders. He's just cranking it as a submission. He is just sitting there just causing pain to this poor dude.
Just causing pain until somebody taps out. Wow.
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 The banana
Like,
split.
Banana split.
Oh my, that sounds terrible.
yes,
That does not sound-
110%. That sounds horrible.
It's so much fun.
I bet it is fun to kind of do it,
So
though,
much
because
fun.
but taking it, oh my, never.
Right.
You get one more. You get that was that your honorable mention or was that number 5?
Oh, that was number 5.
Okay.
Okay. Honorable mention, one that didn't make your list.
You know what? This is because this is so silly. The stump puller.
Yes.
I almost went
I
trailer.
love this stump puller.
I almost went the Hassapane, but I'm gonna go stump puller.
I used to love when Brock would do the stump puller, dude. That's just so funny. Oh wow. Okay. So I'll give you go ahead. What you got?
No,
Phil?
there's other ones that are like, of course, like now all these other things are popping in my
Now that
brain.
they're blasted in, exactly. That's how it always
Didn't
goes.
even think the stretch muffler or the Brock lock.
Yeah, Brock Lock. It's always like when we get to these last picks, all these start popping in the head. We're like, damn it, why did I forget about that one?
So then I guess
It makes it fun though.
All right. Well, my honorable mention, because it was always one of my favorite segments, was the Master Lock Challenge. The Master Lock was awesome. It was just a full Nelson, but nobody could break it, and it was really cool. And then number 5 was my favorite submission from an ECW wrestler. We talked about it earlier, kind of. Phil touched on it at number 1, but just a regular old Dragon Sleeper. Ultimo Dragon was always my favorite lucha in WCW, and then just the Dragon Sleeper was always nasty.
Yeah.
Good call.
My honorable mention will probably be Undertaker's triangle choke that he did.
Hell's Gate.
Yeah.
The go-go Pilata.
Yes.
Yeah.
I always love that. But my number 5, I'll probably have to go with Ric Flair's figure 4.
Classic.
It is.
And what's crazy is now that I'm thinking about it, not one of us said a sharpshooter.
Yeah. Like you mentioned it right before too, because you said Bret Hart sharpshooter is thing.
You did a clover leaf. Like there's a comparison.
Yeah.
That's close. That's close. Watch out. Right after this, when we get off here, I'm gonna start thinking of like 50 different submissions holding.
Oh yeah, Dean's gonna hit me with a message like boom, 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 boom.
We forgot this one. We got this one. But that's all we got for you, man.
Coming up on July 1st, plug this show. Plug this show, Phil. Go ahead.
July 1st is Wrestling Revolver Cage of Horrors coming to the Horizon Event Center in Clive, Iowa. You can get your tickets right now at revolvertickets.com. It's going to be one of our biggest events ever. We're estimating at least 1,000 people are going to be inside that building. It's going to be amazing. You can also watch it live on Fight TV or Fight Plus. Make sure you check that out. I have not tried the connection yet I don't know how that works on Amazon Prime, but I've heard it does. I have not tried it yet. So I'm really intrigued in seeing if people watch it on that respect too. And then a week later on July 8th, Revolver returns. This time we're going to be at the Epic in Grand Prairie, Texas. So again, check us out, prowrestlingrevolver.com, and get your tickets at revolvertickets.com.
Absolutely.
Hell yeah.
I have to ask. I was kind of explaining to him what the Cage of Horror match is. I see there's scaffolding involved. It's going to be some cage. It's going to be in a cage, right?
Right. That's just it. So, a typical cage match. You think of like, oh, I have a cage. We just plant the cage over top of the ring. Oh, it's a cage. This could be, like you said, almost anything. There could be scaffolding. There could be parts of cages. If you think of, imagine, it's sort of a blending of some worlds here. Pro Wrestling Unplugged in the day in Philadelphia used to do this match called the Crazy Eights, where they had parts of a cage. They had little mini trampolines. They had ring ropes hanging from the rafters of the building. Too Cold Scorpio was in one of those matches, and it was amazing. And it just debacle. And then Philadelphia, of course, also the home of when CZW was good, doing Cage of Death. And then so we've taken like elements of all of that and put it together. And then so we have scaffolding. We have cage pieces. We have weapons and madness and barbed wire and insanity. And then it's going to be the Rascals versus SGC. Plug. The Rascals versus SGC in that Cage of Horrors match on Saturday. It's going to be insane.
SGC is a wild bunch. I think.
Hey, don't be sleeping on the Rascals now.
Oh, nobody sleeps on the You can't.
You really can't.
Because they will wake you back up. They will slap you in the face.
110%. I got into following the Rascals mostly from Trey Miguel. He did a lot of stuff up here in a local promotion called Mega Championship Wrestling. He was their champion for a while, and I fell in love with Trey, and he kicks ass, dude. He's a badass.
I worked Mega one time for Uncle Jeffy.
2003?
Yeah. We know. We saw.
Okay. I was like, it's been a minute.
We got it in there. We saw the MCW. We still talk. We actually mess with Jeff a lot. We cover a lot of their shows. We go to almost everyone we can. They actually have one coming up in July 22nd. Saturday Night Slam. They'll be at Victory Park in North Ridgeville.
Awesome.
But I'm sure that'll be on Phil's indie sheet every week because that's probably my favorite thing.
I love that you do that. That is huge.
It's awesome.
Oh, thank you.
Because when we first started getting into the podcast stuff, we kind of covered regular wrestling, and once we kind of shifted our focus to the indies, it kind of brought back both of our love for wrestling, so to speak. And now I'd rather go see OCW or Mega Championship Wrestling or Neo Pro Wrestling, all these local promotions that we've been going to, because we have such a blast. It's
absolute
so much more
intense
fun.
Wrestling. There's Cleveland, Canton area has some really good wrestling out this way, but yeah, we want to branch out now. Like it made us fall back in love with wrestling.
It's an independent wrestling too. It's more intimate of an experience. Like you feel more engaged with it. I think you see a more athletic competition. I'm not saying the people on television are not athletic. That's not what I'm saying.
Right.
But it's like a different level because of that intensity, and it's so raw and right in front of you that it just feels like it's bringing another characteristic that just hooks you in a lot better, I think, for fans.
I agree. I've gotten fans. I gotten friends of mine who've never been to a wrestling show ever just come to one, and they'll text us when we leave. Like, dude, I'll never forget this night the rest of my life. Tell me when the next one is. You just got to get them in the door once.
Yeah.
And I guarantee they're going to be, it's for everybody. There's a little bit of something for everybody. And that's why I love it. I'm so grateful. I started going to indie shows a few years back, and it's just like it revamped my love for it.
Awesome.
110%. I can't say anything better than what Howie just said it. So we don't really have anything else for you, man. We want to thank you so much for jumping on with us and talking some smack with us. It's been an honor. Like I said in the beginning, a little bit nervous to talk to you. You are you're a wrestling royalty, whether you want to admit it or not.
President of wrestling.
Yeah. So it was an honor to have you here. Indy Phil. It was great talking to you. Thank you so much. Hopefully we can get down to a show when you guys come back to Dayton. We'd love to meet you and hang out with you.
Absolutely. It's a date.
Awesome.
Thank you.
You have a good rest of your night. Make sure you guys checking out Wrestling Revolver this Saturday, July 1st on Fight TV Plus. Cage of Horrors is going to be a wild one.
Yeah, I'm checking it out.
Absolutely.